Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, the Copper Owl, bringing you a Pokemon video. This is really a test video to see how good these things do on Rumble and all that because I want to make Pokemon videos exclusive to Rumble. I am monetized on Rumble and I have my Nerf content on Rumble as well. But also, it's kind of a future proof in case YouTube gets really, really bad. It's pretty bad already, but it gets worse. So that's why I'm doing this. But I'm also doing this because I'm going to make some kind of political videos. So if you like the Pokemon stuff, one day it's going to be Pokemon, one day it's going to be political, and the next day it's going to be Pokemon again, and it's going to be like that every time I post. And you're still going to get the Nerf stuff. So if you want to follow me on Rumble, you can. Okay? And if you like this video, if this video gets like, I want to say 1,000 likes. Let's say 1,000 likes bare minimum. I'll still I'll post the Pokemon videos on YouTube as well. But you'll get the exclusive political videos. Political in that the subject is political, but you know what I mean, and all that. So this video I'm going to call Pokemon Cryptozoology. This series I used to do. Oh wait, before I forget the ad. Buy my book, The Epic of Cassius Crossroads, at authorhouse.com. My publisher says I need to advertise it more on my channel, though I pay them to advertise it. But anyway, so there's that, and there's also what else is it? But you can also buy it on barnesandnobles.com. Okay, it really helps me out, and it helps me print out more books as well. Now let's get on to the talk. So this is going to be Pokemon Cryptozoology, where I talk about just the different Pokemon, like weird Pokemon, like legendaries and all that. I'm going to give you strategies. I'm going to go over the lore a little bit and all that because Walking Wake kind of spurred this interest in me, and so did the other Paradox Pokemon because they're like cryptids. Really, they are just mysterious creatures. Nobody knows anything about them. Even the books about them in the game are kind of loose in what they are and all that. The Pokedex doesn't know what they are. And so when it came to Walking Wake, I was wondering, is this thing a dude? Is it a boy or a girl? Because I kept calling it a she. And it got into a little bit of a argument on like semantics. And like, well, it's a legendary Pokemon. It's genderless. But it's like, no, they're not. They can reproduce, are not asexually. There are male and female legendary Pokemon. I'm going to pull up this page right here. So, Bulbapedia is a good tool for getting lore information, but I don't particularly like it for some stuff. So, yeah, you got like the multiple legendary Pokemon where it talks about how we have Latios, Latios, Entei every time a new volcano appears, Cobalion every time it's born. Like, yeah, these things are genderless. Technically, Latias is genderless because it's a single gender and all that. Type Null is considered a legendary. Kubfu is genderless, but there are multiples of them. The Regis are also a thing. The birds are numerous as well. And this is mostly in the games as well, but you do see this in the anime as well with the baby Lugia. So even Lugia has a gender, and it got me thinking. Like, well, in the games, I was like thinking, oh, I had a thing up and I lost it. I exited out of it. The Pokemon timeline. When does Pokemon Sword and Shield as well as Scarlet and Violet take place? And it seems the consensus is that that there's two branching universes. Sword and Shield is part of the original universe and takes place after Black and White, while there's a universe of Mega Evolution, and that has Scarlet and Violet seems to take place during or after Sun and Moon, but at the same time as Sword and Shield. And it got me thinking, like, okay, well, the anime has its own thing with the multiple legendaries. They're not all the same legendary and all that. Case in point, you got Suicune right here. We're going to talk about a little bit. where Suicune is a another Pokemon where you see multiples of them, and it's not the same one. I'm gonna exit out of this. Help it out. So yeah, you see, there's been multiple appearances of Suicune, and even a shiny one. They're not all the same Suicune. Though I think the one that originally appeared in the anime is supposed to be the same one from the Celebi movie, but they retconned it so that the movie is no longer like canon because of the GS ball thing. So yeah, but let's get to Walking Wake. So the thing that bothered me with Walking Wake is that, well, it's bothering a lot of people. It's how does this thing exist if the lore? This goes back to the other topic. If the lore states that Suicune was born in the burned tower, well, now we know there are multiple Suicunes and all that, and we know like this is false. Probably that there was one dog. This itself will break the lore because it's multiple dogs. Because right here we have Pokemon Generations Episode 6. Oh, what the hell? You were working a minute ago. There we go. Pokemon Generations Episode 6, we have the Burned Tower and all that. And in here, we see the three creatures being dog-like. And supposedly, these are based off like an unknown Pokemon that wasn't seen. So, I assume maybe a concept art kind of thing. So, yes, technically Walking Break does break the lore, assuming that the anime is canon to the games and all that. But we know that several legendary Pokemon are born through different things. And Entei is born through every time a volcano appears. Well, it is said. And there are multiple Entei. So that'll mean that either the creatures that died in the tower were the Paradox Pokemon, or they were three dog-like creatures, or it happened to actually be an Entei, Suicune, and Raikou who were just revived. So, when it came to looking at Walking Wake and its design, it's like, yes, it's a dinosaur. Everybody calls it a raptor, but it's more like an Allosaurus and all that. But it's also based off the basilisk lizard because those walk on water. And it got me thinking, well, we have Komodo and Salazzle living in modern times. They are not fossil Pokemon. So that would mean that we had large monitor lizard-like creatures living alongside us in the Pokemon time period, at least originally. We had that in real life, where we had giant lizards living amongst humans. These lizards were essentially large Komodo dragons, and humanity killed them all. It's a shame, but they did. So it could be possible in the Pokemon world, seeing that Komodo is a Komodo dragon, and Salazzle is loosely based off like monitor lizards and a type of, I believe, a salamander. It could be possible that in the Pokemon world, they didn't have large monitor lizards, but instead had large theropod-like dinosaur creatures, which could make some sense, especially since Tyrantrum is alive in Pokemon Sword and Shield, who is a theropod. So, it's technically not a lore break because the burnt tower was built 700 years ago and burned down 150 years ago from the time of the story. Meaning that there is enough time period for, assuming the games take place in like the 90s, that'll be so it could make sense because that's the Komodo dragon was discovered in like I think the 1600s. So but large monitor lizards were killed off when we were cavemen. So it could be possible that one survived and lived in the burned tower. It could be possible that they are ancient and they evolved, in quotation marks, into Suicune and all that. And but Suicune is very mammalian. This thing is not. So again, it goes into the whole thing of what is a paradox Pokemon? Is it just a mutation? Is it like a different kind of thing? And that's what I'm kind of getting into. I'm not like going into the actual thing about the paradox Pokemon, like the actual page, because we could do that, but I don't know. But like, what is it relative to the lore? Because the lore could be retconned at any time. In Pokemon Legends Arceus, I believe you could capture Rampardos in the wild. But I believe that's like space time thing. And they are what's the other thing? Rotom. Rotom is in that part of the game, and so is Porygon, and they were not discovered until modern times. So the game retconned Rotom's existence. So they could very easily retcon all of these things. And they're all gender unknown, unable to evolve and breed, and with the exceptions of Crydom, Rhino, their names are not follow regular conventional of them. We do have, but there are multiples of them. So ideally, if there are multiples of them, it means that at least the past Paradox Pokemon can breed. And all that. Whilst the futuristic ones are probably an assembly line thing. I still don't know how that becomes a thing and all that. So, and it would be kind of weird that freaking Koraidon here devolves into a Cyclizar and all that. So but Roaring Moon kind of gives me this assumption that whatever creates the paradox Pokemon are created by something, rather than being actual like evolutionary branches of Pokemon. Because considering that we have Armaldo, who's technically related to Drapion, shows that there is some sort of branching, there's evolutionary line going on with the fossil Pokemon. It's just for some reason these things technically don't exist, and judging by the looks of them, they might not be dinosaur aged, they might be more early man aged and all that. So but that's what this me explaining like this weird inconsistencies and all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about the actual Pokemon walking wake. So like all of them, it has the Paradox Pokemon exclusive to Scarlet. It has the photosynthesis, so ups the highest stat. And we have the stats right here of 99 HP, attack 83, defense 91, special attack 125, defense 83, speed 109. This surprised me very much because I thought it was going to be a lot more broken. Like, I thought like maybe 150 speed, 150 special attack and all that. I was really surprised by this Pokemon stats. It's still good. It's a really good Pokemon. And I wouldn't say this is kind of around legendary stats, I believe. I believe that 600 makes him legendary. I forget. Maybe pseudo-legendary is around that mark. Still a powerful Pokemon. And it's surprisingly bulky. Because remember, Mew could be used as a defensive tank Pokemon with 100 HP, 100 defense, 100 special defense. So it's very close to Mew's defenses. Just special defense is really weak. And all that. Move pool. Well, let's look at the weaknesses. So it resists steel, fire, and water. Sounds like a cover band. But weak to dragon and fairy. So you know Kingdra. It's just a better Kingdra. And all that. And it has kind of... Its move pool actually reminds me of Kingdra's as well. But yeah, it's kind of bad. It doesn't even get overheat. It's so bad. It gets a lot of physical moves, and it's not a physical attacker at all. It doesn't have like a bad physical attack. It's just you're not going to do anything with that compared to its special attack. Like I think 70 is like the lowest something could go, because you could boost this thing's physical attack. And again, it's like you're gonna just use the same moves on this thing. It gets some varied like moves, but it's like a lot of these moves you're not gonna use at all. You're not gonna use Swift. I think they should boost the power of Swift to 80. Yeah, you could use Dragon Dance. You get Liquidation. You get the physical moves and all that, but you're not gonna use them. You get Draco Meteor, Terrible. So yeah. So let's. So yeah. What is Walking Wake? Is it the Pokemon that burn down in the tower? I want to say no. My theory about the Paradox Pokemon is that it's similar to the Mega Evolution. That something changed them into this. Whereas with the Paradox Pokemon from the future, something is remaking them. This right here, Walking Wake, might be a Mega Evolution. So let's go talk about the strategies behind this. Because at the end of each of these videos, you will get a strategy build around these Pokemon. Okay. So this is the one I think might be quite underrated. Might be the best. Because everybody's just max speed, max special attack. I'm saying go Modest Nature, max HP, booster energy, or a different item if you have a drought Pokemon on your team. Hydro Steam, Flamethrower, Dragon Pulse, Agility. That's what I'm saying. So you get that boost from the booster energy, which is technically a Life Orb boost, but you're just using the agility to set up and outspeed. So very simple. This is a very straightforward Pokemon. You're not going to get much variety out of it. The next strategy I thought about using is this. And this one's interesting. You give it a timid nature, but you don't max out the special attack. You go 232. Just to where it's slightly lower than the speed. But you give it the choice specs. Okay, I guess you put the rest in HP. You can put the rest in any other stat you want. Okay. Choice specs. So you're getting the choice specs boost as well as this one also requires the teammate. But you could get rid of choice specs and just run booster energy just so you get the speed boost instead of having the special attack boost. But yeah, you get somebody with, and I'm going to talk about that too. So, because Torkoal, I was thinking Eject Pack Torkoal. If you have him go up against something with a Intimidate, he could just immediately set up his Drought, switch out. You got Walking Wake, set up with Photosynthesis, and there you go. That's my idea. I think Eject Pack might work if you used like a curse. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't tried it out yet. So now we have this other one, which is just max speed, max special attack, booster energy again. And it's just, that's the most bare bones. It's a good Pokemon, just max speed, max special attack. It's very boring. It's a very interesting Pokemon trying to figure out his lore, because he's related to something we all believe the lore in. We all know the lore of. But this thing is just very straightforward. It reminds me of the Ultra Beast. Now, these last two Pokemon are counters. Gastrodon. And when I meant by Terra Blast, I kind of meant like a grass type Terra Blast because of Gastrodon. Because Gastrodon will be immune to your Hydro Cannon, or whatever it's called, Hydro Steam, and it'll be able to hit you with Ice Beam and Sludge Wave and all that, but it's like it doesn't have like a good move to hit the thing unless they're going into a grass type. That's why I gave it Rindoberry. I assume grass type might be the more popular version of these things, though if they go, the water type could also be popular, so you might want to run a Terra Blast. Just max special defense, give some to defense, max HP, and all that. Very straightforward. Another more interesting counter would be a Flutter Mane. Just don't max out the special attack. And wait a minute. Oh yeah, because it's timid. Oh, that's what. I mean, I'm being an idiot. Yeah. Timid nature, booster energy, photosynthesis. Just take it out with a freaking moonblast or a Psyshock or whatever. That's really all it is. Because so very straightforward Pokemon. Just interesting, like because we don't know any of the lore and all that. And I'm using Pokemon Showdown. It's actually it's a good tool to make teams. I just don't like the community behind it and all that. I don't like Smogon. I play by my own rules, and those rules is that I win. So there we go. But yeah, so if you all like this video, please leave a like on it and all that. I'm going to post this on Rumble. I'm going to post the Rumble link at the bottom too and all that. And I'm going to post my political videos as well. So thank you all very much. You all have a nice day. Bye-bye.